And we are off at round one of the Gorrick Spring Classic, and it was full gas. Adam is absolutely sending it into this first corner. It was wet, it was slippy, and I came into this corner and I realised mezcals were not the tyre for these conditions, I can tell you that. I was like Bambi on ice. I was slip and slide, and Adam in front is an elite mountain biker. Yeah, look, he almost lost the rear end then. He was just absolutely going full gas off the start line, and I was burning matches. I shouldn't have been burning this early on. Look, spikes of up to 600 watts out of the corners. It was super fast. He was attacking this like a madman. It was crazy. Look, up to 800 watts there. I almost got back on his wheel just here. But every time I got close, it was just like he'd accelerate a little bit more. So I'm pretty much on his wheel now. The problem was when he started attacking on these little bits through these berms, I had zero grip. And I'm not going to lie to you, I probably would have run these tyres no matter what the conditions, because I just don't have time to change them. But I needed a Barzo, something like that on there just to give me the grip around these corners. But yeah, look, he is putting the pressure on. But I'm in second place, so it's actually a really good start. Only problem is I had like 3 hitters behind me. So in this race, there was 2 other elite riders. There was Adam, Scott is elite as well, and then also behind me there was a USA guy that had the pink helmet on. If you haven't watched the last video, Del Boy's commentary, you need to go and watch that. But yeah, like, it was the best video, and unfortunately it didn't get as many views as I'd hoped, but it was unbelievable. Unfortunately, Del Boy's not commentating today. But yeah, look at that, 800 watts out of the corner trying to shut that gap down. And I knew as soon as we got to the hilly part of the course, Adam's about 50 kilos, so your boy's going to struggle. He's got about 20 kilos. I've got about 20 kilos on him, so once we go uphill, it is signed, sealed, delivered, dispatched, unfortunately, I think, because this boy has got some power to weight ratio. But yeah, and then there was Richard Freshwater, who's I think he's marathon champion for Vet 40 for Great Britain. So there's some punchy hitters in this race. Apologies about the mud, but we're going around this little bit, and I'm surprised that after 2.5 minutes I'm still within touching distance of Adam. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the race that I'm targeting this year, National Champs at Woody's Bike Park, he looked over his shoulder there. Did you see that? He was panicking that Georgie boy was going to do him. But yeah, coming down here, this is where the gap started to open up, and it's purely because I didn't have grip. If you can see past that little bit of mud, unfortunately I can't wash it when we're off, when we're sending it down this descent. But I came into these 2 little corners just here, and boom, I nearly went. I was so lucky not to be eating the dirt right then, and that little mistake just allowed that gap to open. And now I know we're coming down into the section where we're going to hit the main climb of the course, or one of the main climbs. They're nothing long, they're punchy, but as I was saying, Adam won the Woody's Bike Park Expert race last year, and I am targeting that race. So really, you need to be as fast as him. I think he's getting faster and faster each year though. But yeah, I've cleaned the lens now, and you can see the gap that he's managed to put into us. And unfortunately, it only grows as soon as we hit this climb. It doesn't look like much of a climb, but it is a sting in the tail, and it's punchy, and it just drags on that little bit longer than you've got the berries for. But you can see I'm doing like 400-500 watts. He's not completely pulling away from me, but that little route there I could not get right for love nor money. But yeah, I lost a spot there to Ken and Barbie and the pink hat, as Del Boy called him, and he went for it. Man, bridged over to Adam, fair play. He had some serious strength to get over, but fear not, we will see him again when he blows his biscuit in a minute. But I was holding my own. Heart rate was through the roof right now, and I'll be honest with you, at this point I thought to myself, maybe I could bridge back over onto Adam, but at the same time there's that little chimp in your head saying, if you do that, you are not going to survive the 5 laps, unfortunately. But I'm in 3rd place. I'm basically holding up the 2 riders behind me, because down this descent I thought I was going to end up in the shrubbery through being on on the wrong tyres. And this year I've realised probably if you want to compete with the best people in the country or try to compete in like expert level and stuff like that, and sometimes racing against these elite riders, you need to be on the equipment that's dialed for the day. And I can't just be like winging it, like, yeah, I'll turn up on these tyres. Maybe it's something I've got to think about and get into the habit of maybe changing tyres, or Del Boy, please change my tyres for me. Or just learn how to ride mezcals in any conditions. But yeah, as I was saying, you can see the boys just round the corner, so they're not a million miles away, and I sort of knew like one little dig I might be able to get back on, or if the riders behind me came round, they might be able to bridge back on and like tow me round. And I've jumped onto the next little punchy climb, and this is where the two riders behind me did come round me just here. I just couldn't get the grip up some of these little climbs. I'm just blaming tyres. But Richie and Scott come round me here, and I knew that if I could just stay on the wheel for as long as possible, they might bridge back over. And I did give it a good bash, but at the same time, it was the same thing again. I was just like, I was already on the limit, and I knew these guys were strong. Like I said, pink kit, Mr. Freshwater is national marathon champion, and Scott in the blue and orange kit in front of me, he's an elite racer as well. So I knew that your boy was in trouble trying to hold their wheel. And it was just here where the gap started to open up, and it was just laziness where I was just a little bit out of breath, a little bit fatigued, and you just let the wheel go because everything's hurting. That is what mountain biking's about. And I was speaking to someone about it recently, and that's the difference between like road racing, mountain biking, off-road disciplines. Easy, Tiger. Off-road disciplines, there is just nowhere to hide. If you want to be at the pointy end, you want to be fast, you got to put the training in, and you have got to be absolutely on it all the time, because you got to have the power to weight ratio, you got to get your fueling down and everything, because the level is just so high. There's no drafting, there's no pack to hide in. You've just got to be dialed and on it. And you can see here, the boys have put me in the hurt box. I was absolutely swaying right now. I was like going off the track and all sorts, trying to hold their wheel. And I think it was this next little section. Unfortunately, they did start to pull away from me, like putting down the power here. I mean, I'm putting out like 500, 600, 700 watts just to try and close that gap. You can see the Ken and Barbie and Adam around the corner. They weren't far away, and the boys were bridging over. If it wasn't for me, they probably would have been in that group. I apologise, gents. But, you know, I'm like an absolute cannonball out of the start, unfortunately. I've jumped on a bit, and we came to the next little climb, and it had pretty much all come together. So you can see the front four were pretty much all there, and we were coming into the next climb, and I'd almost bridged back on to the front of the race, and I was like, here we go, Georgie boy, you're back in it. Maybe everyone has blown their biscuit and you might actually stand a chance. And then we hit this climb, and the attacks went again. They just started pinging at the front. Look, again, 700 watts. These surges were absolutely destroying me. I was giving it everything I could up this climb, and it just wasn't quite enough. Mr. Freshwater made a mistake, put a foot out, and you can see just how strung out from that one little climb it got. And you go down this little descent, look at me, I'm all over the place, absolutely slip and slide. Maybe I should have dropped the pressures again, but look how strung out it is now. They were pretty much all together. We'll come round this next corner and we hit another climb. This one's a little bit more of a switchback climb, and you can see they're already round that switchback. One little press on the pedals and bang, the gap is gone. And I just didn't have the fitness to react to it, and I feel as fit as I've ever been. Maybe I didn't have the power to wait or wasn't in the right position, but in all honesty, we just come along here and I was coasting a bit, trying to recover now, because that attack, it just spiked me into the red again, and you're just constantly either on the gas or trying to recover. Look at the gap they've opened up in absolutely no time. that is sensational. The speeds they were going up the climb and just how aggressive the attacks were was unbelievable. So we hit the top of the climb and we were into the descent, and I wasn't a million miles off third and fourth. First and second got a little bit of a gap, and it was just a case now of, I thought to myself, I need to try and recover best I can on this descent while also not falling off my bike, because it was just so slippy and the course conditions just were deteriorating lap by lap in this race, because basically our race started at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, the heavens opened and it was biblical rain for the whole race, and the course just got absolutely churned up. It was slippy. You can see the boys round there on the left. So I'm not a million miles away. I'd say I'm probably like 15 seconds down from the leaders at the moment. So I was pretty happy about that with the calibre of the riders. But you know, when you're just thinking in your head, just one dig and I can get back on the rider in front of me. But every time I made that little dig like there, I'd then get close but just not be able to finish the job off and like get right on the wheel. And it was so frustrating, because it's just like a tiny bit. If I can get a little bit more fitness, a little bit better power to weight, I'll be able to shut these gaps down, get on the wheel and hopefully stay on it. It is very close at the moment, which is good because we're so early in the season. So hopefully a little bit more training and structured training, dial in a few more things, and we can get to the front of this race hopefully and then get some good results this year. But as you can see, I literally almost got on Mr. Freshwater's wheel a second ago, and now I've let the gap go again. It was like that the whole race. Just that 1% more would have made the difference to getting on the wheel. And then we hit the final little climb up towards the little finishing loop that we had, and I was just about clinging on at this point. You can see Adam put another attack in and managed to get a gap. Mr. Ken with the pink helmet on has now fallen off, and I'll be honest, I think he blew his biscuit trying to go with Adam and the wheels totally fell off. And look, you can see yet again, it was one of those moments where you're like, just one little dig, Georgie boy, and you're back on. And they went round Ken in front, and I was just like, come on, get on his wheel. And I should have gone straight past, but I just didn't quite have the legs to get past him here. So I ended up sitting on his wheel through this last little bit, and then as we came out of this wooded section, it's so hard to overtake at this course. There is so much single track. If you like riding twisty single track and being absolutely on the gas all the time with no straights, this is the course for you. Area 51 Gorrick. There's 2 more of these races, so definitely get involved. But you can see here, I'm like bang on his wheel, and I can see Scott and Richie moving away in front of me, and I knew straight away at any opportunity I needed to get past Ken and Barbie in front. So just there he went over to the right, and I was like, literally just like elbows out at this point, absolute dogfight to get past. Managed to get past, and I was like, right, one dig to get over onto that, and then you're in the battle for second and third now. You'll see there on the left, that was Adam leading it. He put in a monumental gap very quickly. So one big attack was all it took, and he was off the front. And you can see that the gents in front of me, they were not a million miles away, and I was trying absolutely everything to bridge over. My big mistake was not getting past that rider quick enough. The Ken and Barbie rider, I should have tried to get past him quicker, because now I'm burning matches trying to get onto Scott and Rich in front, whereas that gap could have been, I could have eliminated that whole gap if I went straight past him on the original bit where I hit his wheel. But I hesitated for that 1 minute, and at this level you can't, because now look, I'm back chasing, and it wasn't far away. The only problem is they got in a really good battle, and I think that their battle kept their pace nice and high. Whereas for me, you know, when you're chasing and every time you think you get a little bit closer and then they just pull away again, and that just kept happening all race. And unfortunately, I just didn't have the berries to close the gap down. You can see now, they started to pull away. They started to race each other and they were putting the power down. And Georgie boy, unfortunately, didn't have the berries to go with it. And from this point on, it was just like pure survival, get to the end. You'll see Adam on the left. We've gone into lap 2 now. Scott and Mr. Freshwater in front. And I gave it one last big dig up the climb. So we came down here. I could see him on my right. And I said to myself, one more big dig. Recover on the descent, see if you can close the gap and get in this group and the battle for a podium place. And as we hit the descent, just at the bottom of the climb just here, I just started absolutely ripping it. I was out the saddle, bang, I got to here and I was like, bang, 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 let's go, give it some beans, 600 watts, 700 watts, your boy cannot contain this. I was probably going too fast for the corners at one point, and I was like, you're closing it down, keep it going, keep on the gas, Georgie boy. And it was this bloody route again. I just absolutely messed it up, almost hit the tree, lost a lot of speed there. But it was literally that 1% again to bridging over into the battle for a podium spot. And unfortunately, I didn't manage to get on again, and that gap just grew. As the course deteriorated, I'm going to moan about the tyres. Look how close I am. It was literally 5 seconds to get over, and I didn't manage to bridge over to them, unfortunately. And my race then was just pure survival to the end. The last lap, I could feel the body starting to shut down, starting to get cramp, and just like was so cold. You can see the course conditions now. It was absolutely brutal. But it is literally 1 or 2% away from getting in that podium battle. Unfortunately, it didn't happen at this race. I finished 4th place. I hope you enjoyed this little race recap, and I will catch you in the next video.